Hi friends, welcome to somethingcalledscience.com. Today we'll talk about the fascinating biography of scientist JJ Thomson. You can find a full transcript and a worksheet on our website. Have you ever wondered what things are really made of? For thousands of years, people thought atoms were the smallest possible pieces of matter. Then along came Joseph John Thomson, a British scientist who proved everyone wrong. In 1897, he discovered something even smaller than an atom, the electron. This discovery changed science forever and helped create the modern world of computers, smartphones, and everything else that runs on electricity. JJ Thomson, most people call him JJ, was born in 1856 near Manchester, England. His family wasn't wealthy, but they valued education. When he was just 14 years old, younger than most high school freshmen, he started college. He was incredibly talented at math and science, which led him to Cambridge University, one of the most famous universities in the world. At age 27, going on 28, Thomson became the head of Cambridge's Cavendish Laboratory, one of the world's leading physics research centers. This was an unusual achievement for someone so young, but Thomson was brilliant, curious, and ready to tackle one of science's biggest mysteries. In the late 1800s, scientists were studying something called cathode rays. To observe these rays, they would take a glass tube, pump most of the air out of it to create a vacuum, and then run an electric current through the tube. When they did this, a mysterious glowing beam would appear inside the tube, like a streak of light floating inside the glass. This setup was kind of like a very early version of the tubes used in old televisions. Here you can see JJ Thomson with his cathode ray tube. But nobody knew what this beam actually was. Some thought it was a wave like light. Others thought it might be particles of some kind. Thomson decided to investigate. He built special tubes and designed clever experiments to test the rays. He discovered that the rays were pulled toward positive electrical charges. The rays were pushed away from negative charges, and the rays could be bent by magnets. This meant the rays had to be made of tiny particles with a negative electrical charge. Even more amazing, when Thomson calculated how heavy these particles were, he found they were almost 2,000 times lighter than a hydrogen atom, which is the lightest atom known. This was remarkable. Thomson had found something smaller than an atom. He had discovered the electron. So why did this matter so much? Before Thomson's discovery, scientists thought that atoms were solid, unbreakable spheres, the smallest possible pieces of matter. Thomson proved that atoms were actually made of even smaller parts. This was like discovering that Lego bricks, which we thought were solid, were actually made of tinier pieces that you could take apart. Now, Thomson didn't personally use the word electron first. The term was coined earlier by George Johnstone Stoney in 1891, but Thomson proved its existence experimentally. Thomson's discovery meant that atoms had structure and parts. This opened up entirely new questions. If atoms contain negative electrons, where is the positive charge? How are atoms put together? And what else might be inside them? After discovering electrons, Thomson tried to figure out what atoms actually looked like. In 1904, he came up with an idea that scientists nicknamed the plum pudding model. Plum pudding was a popular British dessert at the time, kind of like a dense, fruity cake with fruit pieces scattered through it. Thomson suggested that an atom was like a ball of positive charge, the pudding, with tiny negative electrons stuck throughout it, like the plums or raisins. Picture a chocolate chip cookie, where the cookie dough is positive and the chocolate chips are the electrons. As it turned out, this model wasn't quite right. A few years later, One of Thomson's students, Ernest Rutherford, discovered that atoms actually have a small, dense, positively charged nucleus at the center, with electrons existing in the space around it. You can see Thomson and Rutherford here. Then in 1913, Niels Bohr proposed that electrons orbit around this nucleus in specific paths, similar to how planets orbit the Sun. But Thomson's plum pudding model was an important first step. Science often works this way. Someone makes the best guess they can with the evidence available, and then other scientists improve on it. In 1906, Thomson won the Nobel Prize in Physics, one of the highest honors a scientist can receive. The prize recognized both his discovery of the electron and his other important work on how electricity moves through gases. Thomson was not only an outstanding researcher, but also an excellent teacher and mentor. 7 of his students and assistants went on to win their own Nobel Prizes. One of them was even his own son, George Paget Thomson, who won the Nobel Prize in 1937 for discovering that electrons can behave like waves. So why does Thomson's discovery matter? Well, Thomson's discovery of the electron was important in many ways. Everything electronic depends on electrons. Your phone, computer, TV, video games, LED lights, electric cars, medical equipment, all of it works because we understand and can control the movement of electrons. Without Thomson's discovery, we wouldn't have figured out how to harness electricity the way we do today. When you charge your phone, electrons are flowing into the battery. When you turn on a light, electrons are moving through wires. When you watch videos or play games, millions of tiny transistors are controlling electron flow. Thomson's work from over a century ago is the foundation for essentially all modern technology. Thomson was knighted in 1908, becoming Sir JJ Thomson. He got married, had 2 kids, and by all accounts was a kind, modest person who genuinely loved science and teaching. He continued working and researching well into his 70s. Thomson died in 1940 at age 83 and was buried inside Westminster Abbey in London, right near Isaac Newton's grave. Only the most important British scientists get buried here, which shows just how much his contributions meant. Summing up, JJ Thomson took something invisible and mysterious and helped us understand it through careful experiments and logical reasoning. He showed that atoms aren't the smallest things in the universe and that there's an entire world of tiny particles we can study and use. Every time you use any electronic device, you're benefiting from the discoveries Thomson made over 100 years ago when he was just trying to figure out what those strange glowing beams in a tube really were. A big thank you to our Patreon members. You're all awesome and helping out the channel a lot. You can find the full transcript of this video and a worksheet on our website. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more science content. It really helps the channel out. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.